So good morning. Welcome to this chilly fall day, even though I don't know if we're all ready for that. I'm Judy Unfiles. I'm one of the 4 facilitators for Forum. We also have Phoebe and Barbara and Kathy, and the 4 of us have been doing this forever. So for those of you who are not on our mailing list, please let us know and we'll give you a card, we'll get you on the mailing list. I know we do have new guests this morning because they just signed up last week. So thank you. This morning, we're going to talk about, you're going to hear me because I always slip up, Welcome Home Montrose, which is now Warrior Resource. The 2 ladies are looking at me and say, so look at the sign. But I told April I was gonna blow some thunder here. I want to talk a little bit about the history of this and my history with it because I think it's relevant. She's going to do some great things this morning, but I wanted to talk about when I joined council in 2012. Good morning. When I joined council in 2012 is when we were first talking about having Welcome Home Montrose and the things that involved. And we started looking at the water park down on the Compagre River and talking about putting in a water sports park. And then that all grew, okay. The following year, 2013, when I was mayor the first time, All America City applications came out. And that year they were featuring what a community does for veterans. Well, gee, we had this brand new Welcome Home Montrose. We were really set for that. So we applied. It was a very lengthy process. I didn't have a clue what we were doing, let's be honest. The other people did. Melanie Klein and Chamber was involved, MBTC was involved, all these people. It ended up being that 20 of us, I'm guessing 20 because I couldn't find the video, 20 of us went to Denver, where it was that year, for the actual interview. But it's not an interview as you think of it. It was kind of like a song and dance routine. So our group had Dee and Fong from Coffee Trader. They were our choreographers. So we really did do song and dance. So in this huge room downtown Denver, and we came through the door singing to the tune of This Land Is My Land, but with Paul Chamberlain had written the music, so it was all new, having to do with Montrose. We came in, we went up on stage, we had all these big portable photos that we took of Montrose, and we did this routine, this presentation, very staged, very choreographed, about what Montrose meant to all of these different parts of our group. My family of 5 got to talk about how Montrose community is interested in family. Obviously, we had veterans there. We talked about what we do, all of those things for veterans. We were amazing, let's be honest. We go off the stage later in the evening when they had been announced the winners. Montrose won the #1 place. Well, we were all in tears. We go on the stage, we do all this. I was supposed to give a speech, I couldn't even do it. But anyway, we became the All America City, the very #1 for that year. So we came home, we did all that celebration. If you remember, we put up the banners on all the light poles throughout town. We did all of that, and of course now, after 9 years, those have deteriorated and they've gone away. But occasionally downtown, like on City Hall and different places, you'll see the big plaques that say All America City. Please understand that designation came from and because of Welcome Home Montrose. If we hadn't had them, we wouldn't have gotten that designation. There were 1 or 2 towns that said the reason they were applying for All America City because they let veterans march in their parades. Obviously, we do a lot more than that. So, with that, I want to introduce April. April has been with Welcome Home Montrose for several years. but is recently been named the executive director. She was born and raised in Georgia and moved to Montrose in 2015, and she is an Army veteran. So nothing like being able to represent veterans when she was one herself. She enjoys fishing, hunting, kayaking, co-ed softball, and volunteers as the vice president for a local group that fundraises for organizations within our community called Darling Days of Colorado, and serves on the board of directors for Operation Sweet Tooth. You all remember that from KUBC Radio? Montrose Veterans Memorial Coalition, and All Points Transit. So please, welcome, please, Ms. April Hurd.
Good morning. I'd also like to introduce my partner in crime, and this is Amy Eiflin. She is our volunteer coordinator. So we're always welcoming volunteers because we are always in need. So if you're interested, just reach out to Amy and she'll get you plugged in with us. So we'll get started. So we were founded in 2011. In late November of 2011, Melanie Klein, our founder, happened to be sitting on the couch watching Chip Reed on the CBS Sunday Morning. And they aired a thing about veterans and how water sports helps with therapy. And that was the spark that initiated her drive to start Welcome Home Montrose. In 2018, we rebranded to Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans because the veterans in the other counties felt like that we were just for Montrose only. And that's not what we are. We're here to help any veteran in need. We now reach out to Ouray County, San Miguel County, and Delta County, and of course Montrose County. So I've got the link here. We've got time, so we'll see if we can get the video started.
For America's wounded warriors, leaving the hospital is the start of a long recovery. But Chip Reed tells us some veterans have found the journey is shorter with a visit to some healing waters.
On the Potomac River, just outside Washington, D.C., two kayakers were in search of the adrenaline rush that comes from surfing a whitewater wave. You might not have guessed that 21-year-old Todd Love in the front seat was a triple amputee. Love, a U.S. Marine, lost both legs and one arm just over a year ago when he stepped on an improvised explosive device in Afghanistan. His father carried him to the river, and an instructor placed him in the kayak. He attached a prosthetic arm, and when he entered the water, he was transformed.
When I'm in the kayak, it definitely makes me feel free. It's something about being on the water. It's good therapy.
The organization that provides this opportunity is called Team River Runner. The instructors are all volunteers.
Team River Runner started small about 7 years ago with just a few kayakers out here on the Potomac River. But in recent years, with so many injured veterans coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, it's grown quickly. There are now chapters in more than 24 states.
Many of the instructors are also injured veterans, including Jared Baltheis.
Team River Runner is what gave me my life back. You know, it gave me a purpose again.
Baltheis returned from Afghanistan in 2009 with post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury after a 500-pound bomb blew up next to his armored vehicle.
Couldn't go to restaurants with friends. I couldn't go out. I was more or less confined to my own little world. I couldn't get out of it.
The chance to help his fellow veterans changed everything.
When I'm with the other wounded veterans, when I'm teaching, I'm alive. There's nothing better in the world than to take someone who thinks they've had everything stripped from them, that they're never going to lead a functional life again, and to teach them a whole new skill.
Joe Mornini, a high school teacher who founded Team River Runner, Love said nothing gives him more joy than watching people like Todd Love rediscover their confidence.
You can't even tell he's disabled when he's out there in that
Isn't that
kayak.
awesome? Isn't that what it's all about? I mean, the whole thing is they're not disabled, they're enabled.
Love said his success at kayaking has him looking for new challenges.
I want to go skydiving soon. It shouldn't be a problem to do that.
Shouldn't be a problem for a U.S. Marine with an unquenchable thirst for adventure. Chip Reed, CBS News, Glen Echo, Maryland.
After saving with customized car insurance from Liberty.
So Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans grew from an idea that Melanie Klein had. She wanted to create a resource center for veterans where veterans felt comfortable, they had the camaraderie, they could help each other heal, and also to where we could provide resources for these veterans to help them get whatever it was as far as health care benefits with the VA, plug them in with our Montrose County Veteran Service Officer for benefits that they deserve. So we have successfully inspired individuals, groups, and businesses to unite together for a greater good. We've proven the need for services that communities can provide, and we have created a place where veterans and their families can give and receive support. So some of the problems among the veterans is a very major growing concern. And there's two major things that we see now in our community that we have partnered with a lot of local organizations and foundations to try to help prevent. And that's food insecurities. Being hungry, having no access to fresh food, and living in fear of not knowing when their next meal will be. For food insecurities, we have partnered with Shepherd's Hand, Bob Woodruff Foundation, and Valley Food Partnership. With Valley Food Partnership lately, we were able to obtain a grant for food insecurities. We worked with Valley Food Partnership to create what you call market bucks. We were able to, and we still are doing this on Saturdays, we purchase fresh fruits and vegetables from our local farmers market, which also goes back into our community. It helps our local farmers and our produce growers around Montrose. And they pack us special bags for our veterans, and we deliver them every Saturday. Our next major thing that we're seeing with our veterans is homelessness and a housing shortage. Being able to find affordable housing, assistance with move-in costs, and just a lack of housing. So we are glad to say in the last 3 months, we received another grant from Bob Woodruff Foundation. We currently have the HUD VASH voucher. A person that just got hired with the VA is housed in our building. She's there permanently. She's there 5 days a week from 9 to 5. So if you know of any veteran that needs housing or is suffering with housing issues, please send them to us. But we were able to obtain a grant, and within the last 3 months, we have helped assist in housing for 3 veterans, single, 2 veterans with their families, and we've helped prevent eviction for 2 veterans in the community. And this is our mission statement. We provide assistance with their VA paperwork, billing issues, transportation, job searches, just about anything that they're in need of. So together we've strengthened resources already in place and created others that were needed. We've learned their challenges, joined with veterans, and became a unified voice for veteran causes. And we've created a place for all of this to happen. So this just tells you a little bit about who we've partnered with, how we work toward providing employment for our veterans. We worked successfully with Montrose County to strengthen the Veteran Service Officer position. That is a very strong point of our resources, is our Veteran Service Officer. We've also collaborated and partnered with All Points Transit, the Vet Center out of Grand Junction. We have a counselor that comes every week that offers a PTSD group. We have partnered with the VA to make it quicker to receive information about benefits. The Montrose County Veteran Service Officer, the American Legion, the DAV, VFW, Shepherd's Hand, Telluride Adaptive Sports, and the communities of Montrose, Delta, Ouray, and San Miguel. So today, through the efforts of our staff, volunteers, and hundreds of community members, we have accomplished our early goals. Montrose truly is a great place to be for our veterans and our families. And I can tell you a personal story. As you heard, and probably tell by my accent, I'm not from here. I was born and raised in Middle Georgia. I come from a long line of veterans. And I currently have a grandson, a nephew, a cousin serving in the military currently. But until I moved out here in 2015, and I got affiliated with Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans, I had never in my life seen a community so supportive of their veterans. And it touched me to the point to where my dad sold his house and moved to Montrose. And now my uncle has sold his house and moved to Montrose. And they're both veterans. And it's just the community support and the engagement that everybody, the huge hearts that are here that help our veterans and are always there to support. And that means a lot. And you don't really realize it till you actually come to a community that has those big hearts. So this is what fuels Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans. So our funding is based on community donations. We are community supported. We do receive small grants, but we are not affiliated with any national organizations like Wounded Warrior Project and those types of organizations. We were founded right here in Montrose. We are one of a kind, and we look at our community for the support to keep us going and keep us continuing our mission to take care of our veterans. So far this year, our volunteers have already logged 1,856 hours with us for volunteer work. And believe it or not, I looked up the new rate going for volunteers, and they say that they are worth $29.95 an hour, which is huge. Our donations of goods and services, we got the little cover there, that's a little over $15,000 already. That's just goods and services that get donated to us. So the Warrior Resource Center, as we are also known as, we are a portal of giving and receiving, a bridge to civilian life. We offer veteran benefit counseling, peer-to-peer counseling, outdoor recreation opportunities, support groups, housing assistance, household goods, emergency food and personal needs. So our coffee and camaraderie. So we do a coffee at our office at 4 Hillcrest Plaza Way. We used to be on the corner of Main and Park, and we were lucky enough to be able to purchase the building down on 4 Hillcrest Plaza right across the street from Gold's Gym. We actually outgrew the original building, so we had to have something with a little more room. So we hold coffees there every Thursday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and it's veterans only. On the second Tuesday of every month, I travel to Ridgeway and I hold a coffee there at the Sherman Theater from 10 to 12. Every second Wednesday of the month, I travel to the Nuclear Airport and we hold a coffee there for the veterans on the West End. And that is also from 10 to 12. And on the third Tuesday, we travel to Cedar Edge at the Pondy from 10 to 12. So every month, we are out there in the communities, pulling these veterans together, giving them the camaraderie and the connections that they need, and providing them with the resources that they need. And we don't want to leave the spouses out. We have a spouses luncheon the last Friday of the month, starting at 11:30. So please spread the word. If you know any spouses of veterans, tell them to come have lunch with us. We also do the Eagle Head Cane program. And this is a partnership with some of our local wood turner groups. And what that is they handcraft a Eagle Head cane, and you can see the pictures there, for a veteran, and it'll have their military experience engraved into the cane. So if you know of any veteran that you would like to surprise with an Eagle Head cane, or that could utilize one, please let us know. All we need is their DD-214. And we hold an Eagle Head cane at our office every third Thursday of the month at 5 o'clock if anybody would like to attend and see what it's about. So that's pretty much my information, if anybody has any questions. But I would like to tell you a few upcoming events that we have. On October the 8th, we have our Blue Jean Ball and Silent Auction fundraiser. That will be held at the Event Center. We are currently looking for items for the silent auction and sponsors. We have our annual stand down, and our annual stand down is where we, for our underserved and our homeless veterans and any veteran that is in need, we do a lunch. We serve them with a hot meal, and we provide any type of winter gear. We have sleeping bags, we provide them with hygiene kits, flashlights, blankets, tents, anything that they may need to be able to get through the winter months. And on October the 27th, we will have our annual stand down at our office here in Montrose. But we also, at the coffees, we take our little stand down, we just have a little road show. We travel to Ridgeway on November the 8th. We do one in West End on November the 9th. And on November the 15th, we'll be in Cedar Edge. Does anybody have any questions?
April and Amy, as you ladies know, I kind of drop in occasionally. Used to more often than I do right now. But I feel like I have a heart there. But when I drop in, there are always people there. There are veterans who are there simply because I think they want a place to be. To see a friend, to see somebody they can talk to, somebody they can share an experience with. So it doesn't have to be just Thursday morning.
No, we have veterans that come in and hang out. We have two Franks. We have Frank 1 and Frank 2. So Frank 1, he comes in just about every morning and he hangs out with us and works on a puzzle. We have Sean. He all points brings him on Mondays and Wednesdays, and he just sits there and hangs out with us all day and drinks coffee and brings his little dog Biscuit and just spends time with us and hangs out at the office. It just gives them somewhere to go, especially for our veterans that don't have anybody. They're at home by themselves. So they can come and hang out, do puzzles. We have movies that they can watch. We have a library that they can go to and look at books, or most of them just sit out and drink coffee, and we try to keep snacks, cookies, and donuts. That's what they come for. And just hang out with us, and it gives them something to do. It makes them feel comfortable, and they have somebody around them, and they don't feel so alone all the time.
Questions, Miss Eva, you get to start.
I heard a rumor that you're trying to start a memorial park. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, so we have formed a group alongside of, it's a collaboration of local veteran organizations in Montrose between Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans, our local DAV, American Legion, and our VFW. And it is called the Montrose Veterans Memorial Coalition. And out at Cerise Park, we presented it to the city. It's been about a week and a half ago, I believe. We have a 3D mock-up of what the park is going to look like. And we're really excited about it. We're waiting on the approval from the city to be able to move forward and start fundraising. Spectrum has already stepped up and made a donation of $10,000 toward the park. So if anybody's interested in the park and wants to see the future 3D mock-up, we usually have it at the office. It'll be coming back to us. We left it at the city meeting so that they could take a look at it. But you can just call us and see if we've gotten it back yet. But we're really excited for this park. It's going to be awesome.
Amy, thank you for your leadership in this. I think it's really important for the community. Would you be able to quantify? You mentioned we have a few homeless people here and whatever. Would you be able to quantify? I have two questions. Would you be able to quantify the number of people that you deal with, and what are their unmet needs? So it kind of gives us an idea of where we are in the community. Are we dealing with 5 or 6 people, or do we have hundreds of people throughout the area? And the second question I have is on mission. And most of these troops that are coming back from Iran and Iraq, they're injured, are being treated a lot better than my brothers that came back from Vietnam. But still, there's an issue out there. It seems like getting benefits for them is like pulling teeth, the burn pit legislation that they just passed and things like that. How does when you're dealing with these folks, how does it, now that we've had that inauspicious departure from Afghanistan, how does that affect their overall belief in what they did was the right thing to do?
From the experience of working with some of because our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans are very slow to come in. We have seen an increase of our younger veterans lately, and I think a lot of from what we gather from them, the Iraq and Afghanistan war period has caused a lot of hurt of what took place and what they had to do. It's a moral injury issue, and it's very, very strong, especially among the Afghanistan and Iraq veterans. We see that type of mental condition, that injury with them more. than we do pretty much any of the areas of conflicts. As far as the Vietnam veterans, you know, they just passed the new PAC law, and it added a lot more presumptives for our Vietnam veterans, and also with the burn pits and stuff. The VA operated a lot different years ago. They've changed a lot of their procedures, and that's one of the stigmas that we work on and try to get the word out. And it's very important for them to know that the VA has changed a lot of their paperwork as far as how you can qualify. More and more veterans are getting into the VA these days. You hear a lot of the older veterans say, whoa, I made too much money, so the VA wouldn't let me in. That has completely changed over the years. I'm seeing more and more Vietnam veterans are getting their ratings like they should, and getting their VA health care like they should. So kudos to the VA for making the improvements. And our VA hospital in Grand Junction is rated #2 in the nation. So that is something to be proud of. We have an awesome VA hospital clinic here. So as far as tracking our homeless and knowing what their needs are, we do track those. We have trackers. Anytime that we work with a veteran, we keep a confidential tracker so that we can keep up with how the different needs and insecurities progress and which ones are more important that need to be tackled immediately.
How many are we dealing with?
Homeless is kind of hard to say. I can say at our stand downs, what's our average number we usually have? Yeah, about 30, yeah. And we have them when stand down comes, they're calling. Hey, are we having stand down? Because not only do we provide them with things to try to help them make it through the winter months, we try to have the VA there that can talk with them. We have mental health providers there. We have nurses from the VA come so that we can make sure they get their flu shots and stuff like that. So we track all that very heavily.
Good question. Typical mom question from Jim.
Good question.
So, number one, are you saying that you have homeless that are choosing not to be housed, and that's why you're making sure they have enough, weather gear? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what percentage would that be that choose to be homeless? A large percentage?
Yes.
Okay.
A larger percentage prefer to be homeless than to be housed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second is, are you utilizing an in-house mental health therapist, or do you just call in providers from the community, and how are you doing that? And is someone available all the time for those veterans?
Yes, well, we have George from the Vet Center that comes down on Thursdays that does the PTSD group, but he also works one-on-one. And I can say that Drew that's been hired on, and he works for the sheriff's department and the police department. He is works with mental health. So anytime we have an issue that a veteran calls in and it's kind of a red flag that, hey, we need to have this person checked on immediately, we do have the access of calling the police department or the sheriff's department, and we have Drew's number directly. We can always call Drew and say, we have this veteran, he's in the Safeway parking lot, he's, making accusations of, he don't want to be here anymore, nobody cares about me, nobody wants to help me with anything. So we can get Drew dispatched immediately to that person.
Okay, just to follow up, I'm concerned about the large number of people that choose to be homeless just because of other citizens' safety, and so do you have a program that encourages and works with them to try to house them? I mean, I don't think that Montrose will be the same community if we have such a large number of homeless that we recognize that are just, sleeping wherever. And I'm concerned about that. I just want to, you know, if you have any like plans or strategy for dealing with that.
Well, our HUD Bash lady, her name is Ellen. She's been recently hired on with the VA, and she covers Montrose and Delta County. She works mostly a lot with our homeless veterans, and a lot of the she does everything she can to try to get them plugged into housing. One of the main reasons is most of our veterans have an animal. Most of them have dogs. Majority of the places will not allow them to have their animal for, to be able to rent. So then they choose their animal over being in a house because they're not willing to give up their animal. We've seen that a lot recently. I wouldn't say that the 30 number, don't let it scare you, because we serve, that's not just Montrose County, that includes, Delta, San Miguel, and Uray. We have quite a few, I'd say more homeless veterans in Delta than we do here. They will find a way to the stand down. They do every year. You can't really force them to move into a place, but the finances and all and the resources are there to get them into a location if they're willing.
Is there also an attempt to try to reestablish them with their family, like someone had family in Georgia? Would you make sure that they got that you have enough funds to make sure that they can relocate if they need to?
Yeah. So we work a lot with Bob Woodger Foundation. Also Craig Newmark Philanthropies. We get a lot of small grants for food insecurities. This last one was pretty nice, and it was more for, and what I'm getting to is, we had a lady come in yesterday, and she happened to see our flags. She was from Washington. Her brother died. She had to come out here for her brother. It was actually in Colorado Springs, and she was coming back through, and she was driving around because she had run out of money and needed gas. She was a veteran. So we have the funds. We don't give cash money to veterans. It's always in a form of a gift card of some sort. But the Elks Lodge, every year during stand down, they give us gas cards for City Market. They can purchase food or gas with it. So we have a long line of resources that we offer. So if they're out of town, and we always get contact and emergency contact information for our veterans, so that if we don't hear from them in a while, we're calling family no matter where they're at to make sure they're okay.
Other questions? Okay, I'll be right back now. I knew somebody would want to do my exercise this morning.
Stand down. So stand down was created back during the Vietnam times when our soldiers were out on the battlefield. They would switch the units out and bring our soldiers off the battlefield back to the main base, and they would freshen them up with fresh clothes, warm meal, get them rejuvenated to send them back to the field. And that's where the stand down classification actually came from.
You mentioned the silent auction fundraiser. Tell me again when that's going to happen and how I can donate.
All right, it is October the 8th. You can donate anytime. Just contact our office, or if you want to donate something for the silent auction, you can just drop it off at our office.
I have two questions. The first one is for Julianne. So when this entourage went to Denver for the All-American City, is that on YouTube by any chance?
I want you to know I spent a long time yesterday trying to research that and find it. And instead, I found the video that the city submitted to All America City, which is the Play Here, Stay Here be excited. That's all I could come up with, but yeah, I would have loved to have seen it again.
You can sing a few lines.
Maybe we can have Will research that for us.
I do my best.
Okay, April, I have a question about, it ties into the video that we saw at the beginning. Do you do any physical activities or work with other groups to take them fishing or horseback riding or something out there that they may not have access to that you can help them with?
We do. We've partnered with Telluride Adaptive Sports up in Telluride. They do in the summertime what they call Warrior Wednesdays, and it's free for the veteran. They have a day of rock climbing, they take them kayaking, they go hiking, bike riding. They'll do like just a one-night camping trip for the veterans to get together. During the winter months, they do free ski trips up in Telluride, and they work with them. They even have the adaptive equipment. I can say I won't do it again, but when I moved out here, I was like, ooh, snow. I can learn how to snow ski. I should have done that years ago. A fractured leg, that keeps you off skis. Yeah, and Project Healing Waters. They are a fly fishing group, and they have a class at our office every month. And they work with veterans, and they teach them how to tie flies. They teach them how to build their own fly rod, and they take them out on fishing trips and stuff. So I got chosen with Project Healing Waters 2-3 years ago. So I got to go. They do crazy trips. I got to go to Kodiak, Alaska, and fly fish in the river in Kodiak, in Alaska. So yeah, they do some nice trips for the veterans.
Right here. April, thank you so much for your dedication and for your family's service. And anybody else here in the room who's a veteran, thank you for your dedication and service. Do you have a website?
Yes, ma'am. Our website is whafv.org.
Say it again.
whafv.org. It's welcome. It's the abbreviation for Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans.org.
Okay, thank you.
And we also have a Facebook page too, so you can keep up with.
Oh, and what do you ask your volunteers to do? What kind of things can volunteers do?
So we take volunteers for, they work our front desk and answer our phones. We have volunteers that help with spouses luncheon, the coffees when we need volunteers, and then for our events and stuff. And we get asked a lot of times. We help support the rodeo, Mountain States Rodeo. So we provide security for them, and they're always generous every year after the rodeo. And they usually make a nice little donation to Welcome Home. We usually get volunteers for that, and yeah, and tribute aviation when we get it back. So
Next year.
yeah,
So-
I'm gonna miss it this year.
Back to the video that April showed us, Team River Runners did come here, and that Jared Bolheis moved here, correct? So that was so impactful for him to have been part of that CBS special and do all that, and then to come here and then,
Todd's been several times too.
yeah. Oh, okay, I haven't met Todd. Right. Amy, you're just busting with stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah. I think.
I think she already asked him about volunteer needs.
Okay.
What kind of help can you offer veterans in negotiating access to the health care benefits that they are entitled to?
So if it's health care benefits, we help them fill out the application, and then we send it straight to the main person in Grand Junction. So it kind of cuts that process to where it's not jumping all over the VA from this person to that person. For benefits, we have our Sheldon Smith, he's our Montrose County Veteran Service Officer. We also have Dwight Amy, he actually works for the VA, and he works in the benefits department, and he comes down every other Thursday. We're trying to get him a little bit more. He's able to pull up paperwork, see where your claim's at, and he's real good at about trying to get those claims pushed in pretty quick.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm coming. Those tables block my access.
I want to know what kind of help you get from that flag waving Warren Hobart who votes against everything that funds veterans.
Well, that is one thing that we, that Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans is strongly about. We're here to help take care of our veterans, and we do not have discussions about politics or religion. And yeah, so when you come, it is a safe place. Everybody has, that's the joys of being free in America, is you can have your own opinions and thoughts. But at Welcome Home Alliance for Veterans, when a veteran comes in, they know that they're safe and they're in a peaceful place, and there's no discussion to start arguments about politics or religion.
Just one more thing is there a VA health clinic on Colorado?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we do have one here in town.
We do. It is on Colorado. It's what they call our CBOC. It's our little small clinic. From what I understand, our lease is coming up for the VA on that building. They're wanting to expand services here in Montrose. They're actually looking at wanting to add more of a full-time podiatrist, more female veteran services, and be able to do a few more things that you all usually have to go to Grand Junction for. So that we don't know, they were up in the air about if they wanted to see if they would allow them to add on to the building, or if they were going to look for another building in Montrose that would be suitable for them.
I have a follow-up question to Commissioner Hansen's question about people refusing, services and things like that. Is this is the reason for this is it like a sign of weakness? In other words, if I take help, it's a sign of weakness. And these guys are warriors,
yeah.
and and they're used to dealing with themselves, dealing with a team and so forth. I was just wondering if that would be a reason for them not accepting that support.
In some cases, I feel like that, yeah, it could be more of a self-esteem issue, because most veterans are like, I did this and I can handle this on my own, but I think the biggest issue is because the majority of them, they have a hard time finding a place to go where they're allowed, because even in the shelters, they're not allowed to have their animal with them. So they will refuse not to go. I know we had a couple of years ago a veteran in Delta that had a major breakdown about not being able to take his dog with him to the shelter.
And I can attest to that. I mean, I have veterans come in our office all the time, and we all know that there's a terrible housing shortage. There are a lot of barriers for many of these veterans, and being able to keep their animals is a big one for them. And the other one is, there is some mental illness with this population. There's a lot of PTSD, and when you start putting up barriers, they are just going to simply back off, and they'll go to the trees before they'll have people start making a lot of demands on them. So it's a PTSD issue as much as it is anything else, in my opinion.
It's time for us to wrap up and thank April for being here this evening.
And thank y'all for coming out.